Put your hands together for Jeff Sass. Jeff Sass. Well, you didn't enjoy this presentation, by the way.
Not just Jeff Sass, all of Jeff is here. Just need to switch. Okay. All right, welcome. Good afternoon. How's everyone feeling? Excellent. So I'm Jeff Sass. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for .club Domains. .club is one of the new domain name extensions that you've been hearing about. It's actually one of the more popular ones. We have 1.5 million registrations to date. And more important than the registrations, we're very excited about how many businesses and individuals actually use a .club domain name. So we have over 277,000 live active websites. Those are businesses using a .club domain as their primary web address. We also operate a marketplace called Names.club, and in Names.club you can get premium domain names, these valuable names, and pay for them monthly over 5 years for no interest. So it's almost like a subscription. And it's not just .club names, we have names from .shop and .online and .work and other names. And Jason Eisler in the front row is on my team. He's here, and he's got a great curated list of great domain names in the real estate space. If you're interested, go talk to Jason. But I'm not here to talk too much about that right now. What I really am here, I should also mention, I'm also an author. I wrote a book, a very fun and entertaining marketing book called Everything I Know About Business and Marketing. I learned from the Toxic Avenger. So if you know who that is, you'll enjoy this book very much. And even if you don't know who that is, you'll enjoy the book. But today I really want to talk to you about the benefits of branding your VRBO. I assume everyone knows what a VRBO is, Vacation Rentals by Owner. Everyone knows, right? Yes? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today and why it's valuable to actually brand your vacation rental property. Many benefits. Number one, it's going to make it easier for you to get noticed, and that's certainly important in a very crowded marketplace. We'll talk about that. When you brand your property, it's going to inspire you to create an experience around that property, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And when you do that, when you have a brand and when you build an experience, you're going to generate much more repeat business amongst your customers, and you're also going to generate a lot more word of mouth, right, about your property and referrals to your property. So it's very important. So let's start with vacation. How many of you have ever gone on a vacation and rented a vacation rental? Quite a few people. How many have gone back to the same place a second time? How many have gone back even more than a second time? So how come we went back? This gentleman, how come we went back that second time?
Loved it so much. I have a tennis player and they had the best course.
So you enjoyed the experience, and when you go back to a place again and again, you feel like you're part of a community, you feel like you belong. It gives it a feeling like you're part of a club. And in fact, the word club represents community, it represents membership, it represents exclusivity. And because of that, we find that a lot of residential communities use club in their name. They use the word club. And therefore, a lot of them use a .club domain name. And in the vacation rental market, that's also been true. We see a lot of VRBOs using a .club name to brand their property. A few examples, this is StayAlbuquerque.club, VRBO in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is in India, Sapphire.club. We're going to talk more about this one, Victoria Park.club in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's going to be the case study I'm going to share with you. And the .club, very high-end vacation rentals. We talked yesterday, a lot of people on the panels, about the value of these domain names. The.club was bought by this company for $300,000. We didn't get that money. We actually sold the name to someone previously for $19,000, and that person actually resold it to the owners of the club for $300,000. So that was just an interesting sidebar on the domain name side. Excuse me. So what is a brand to begin with? Wikipedia calls a brand a name, term, design, symbol, or other feature that distinguishes an organization or product from its rivals in the eyes of the customer. It's a pretty good definition. I like this one from the Dictionary of Brand. It also calls a brand a person's perception of a product, service, experience, or organization. And that's what you're really doing. When you're branding your property, when you brand your vacation rental, or any property for that matter, you're helping to shape the perception of that property. You're helping to shape how people think of it. And that's really important. And when you think about branding, your domain name, the URL, your web address, is a significant part of that brand, right? It's very important to get a strong domain name that matches your brand, that has an extension that makes sense. You want a domain name that's meaningful, that's memorable, and that's relevant. And the benefits of that are many. In the first place, you're going to get much better SEO, organic SEO, when you're using a strong keyword domain or a domain that matches your brand name or a domain that has a logical extension like a .club or a .real estate or a .homes, whatever makes sense for your property. In addition to organic SEO, when you have a strong domain name and strong matches like that, your SEM, your paid search engine marketing, is going to be much more efficient, and you'll end up paying less for the same results than you would if you didn't have a good, strong domain name. So your domain name is really a good part of your brand. And of course, having that exposure is going to help you stand out in the crowd. And that's very important in a crowded space. And the vacation rental market is an extremely crowded space. So when you look at getting noticed, if you look at the vacation rental marketplace, there's been over $100 billion, I should say, billion with a B, invested in the vacation rental marketplace. So it's a big market. According to Hostfully, there are 115,000 different vacation rental businesses around the world. 70% of them have only 1 to 19 properties. So this is not just big corporations. There are a lot of individuals and small businesses with 1, 2, 5, 10 properties operating a vacation rental business. Airbnb claims to have 1.9 million listings from about 650,000 hosts. Most of those hosts don't do much business, quite frankly. But there are about 100,000 hosts that consider their Airbnb business their primary source of revenue, their primary income. So that's more or less their full-time job, is operating their vacation rental business. If you have a vacation rental, you're probably listing it on one of these platforms. And most of them are non-exclusive, so you probably are listing on many of these platforms. And again, this is why it becomes very important to think about branding and think about how you can make your vacation rental stand out. Another domain name aside, one of these platforms, vacation.rentals. Great domain name, and that recently was sold for $500,000. So they bought this name for $500,000 to set up their vacation rental marketplace at vacation.rentals. Perfect exact match domain name, high value name. So let's talk about getting noticed with a great brand and a great domain name. And I'm going to use VictoriaPark.club as a little case study. So VictoriaPark.club is a 3-unit vacation rental in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Full disclosure, it's actually owned by the CEO of .club, so he might have been slightly influenced to choose VictoriaPark.club as the name. But the branding lessons I'm talking about are things that you can apply to any property, with any domain name and any brand. We're just using .club as a logical example. So he decided to brand these 3 units VictoriaPark.club. And as soon as he did that, it changed the thinking about the property. And instead of just being 3 units listed everywhere, they put up a little fence, they put up a sign highlighting the brand. The brand is highlighted throughout the units, so even on the front door when you come in and use your keypad to unlock it, it says VictoriaPark.club. So right away, the customer, the guest, knows they're not just showing up at someone's apartment for rent, they're not just showing up at another Airbnb. This thing has a brand around it. It has something special about it. When you look at the typical listings, so obviously this unit, or these units I should say, are listed at many of these places. And the problem with the listings are, they're all pretty similar, no matter which platform you're on. And you're pretty much subject to the template that the listing platform offers you in terms of how you can present your property. So I highly recommend, and we talked about this a lot yesterday in many of the panels, how you need to have your own website. And even if you're listed on 4 or 5 or 6 platforms, there are tremendous benefits to having your own destination website as well. Because at your own website, you can control the information, right? So at VictoriaPark.club, they have a dedicated website. It's going to show up in search engines. People are going to see it. At the dedicated website, you can include video of the property, video of the neighborhood, the area. You can control the images and the listings. You can put additional information that maybe there's not room for in the listing platform's template, so that's very helpful. Again, you can present it in a higher class way. You can present it so it's more professional, and so even though it's 3 little units in Fort Lauderdale, it feels like it's part of a bigger hospitality chain. It feels like it's part of a brand because you've branded it VictoriaPark.club. And very important, you can still link to those listings. So when someone goes to book one of the rooms, they're still booking through one of these listing platforms. You know, they're booking through Turnkey. But the links to Turnkey come right from the website. So you're not necessarily having to create your own booking engine and handle that yourself. You can still handle all that from a third party if that's what you choose to do, but you can drive traffic there from your own website and stand out. The other very important thing is you can build a customer database. From your website, you can collect people's names and contact information. Some of these platforms that you're listing with, even though they're staying in your property, they're treated as the platform's customer, not your customer. And you may or may not be able to develop that marketing list so that you can reach out to those people again. So that's another very important benefit of having a dedicated website in addition to your listings so that you can collect those customers directly yourself. When you brand your property, it inspires you to create an experience, to do something different. So when we looked at VictoriaPark.club and thought, what can we do to make it special? One idea was to put in the Westin Heavenly Beds. So even though this is a 3-unit VRBO in Fort Lauderdale, the beds are the same quality as you would get right here in the Westin where we're staying. Those Heavenly Beds are part of it. Then we started thinking, well, you know, it's a pet-friendly property. We allow pets. So what can we do to make that a little bit special? So in addition to the Heavenly Beds for the humans, we put dog beds in every unit, right? So every unit has a dog bed there. So when you come with your pet, they're not just sleeping on the floor, there's already a nice dog bed in there. And when you think about it, it's about $100 investment per bedroom or per unit, and it's just a small thing that just changes the experience. If you're a dog owner and you've ever traveled with your pet, how happy would you be to open that door the first time and see, oh wow, there's a bed for my pet, you know? So it's a nice little touch. And again, you start thinking about ways you can improve the quality of the products and services. So of course, there's a coffee maker in every unit, but why not have it stocked with fresh coffee? So when the guest arrives, they already have fresh coffee there. And if you see a little trend here, yes, the coffee that we supply is, of course, from coffee.club. And along the same lines, you can put, you know, cheap soap that you buy at the supermarket, or you can put a higher quality soap in the unit. A minor investment that changes the user experience dramatically. So, of course, we have soap from soap.club. No more shameless plugs for .club. These are all legitimate .club businesses, so why not? But so there's nice higher-end soaps, all organic, all natural soaps in the units. Again, to create that experience. And finally, thinking of the word club, when you brand something as a club, you want to create that sense of community. So one of the things that they thought of, you know, there's a backyard, that's fine, but what could we do to make it more club-like? And so they built a beautiful tiki hut in the backyard with a table, with a big TV, with a barbecue, and it's a common area. So if there are 3 different families in 3 different units, they can all congregate, meet each other, engage in the tiki hut. If one family has the whole property, they can hang out, barbecue together in the tiki hut, and it creates, again, more of a special experience. And that experience was inspired by the brand. If they hadn't branded it VictoriaPark.club, they wouldn't have thought about building a tiki hut. It would have just been, okay, we got a nice 3-bedroom, let people rent the bedrooms. So branding helps you create that experience around the brand that's going to help you generate a lot of new business. So when you think about it, all these things create an experience that's going to encourage the repeat business. You love the tennis club, the tennis court. You know, people love the tiki hut. They're going to come back. Well, we want to stay at that place with the tiki hut again. You know, we want to stay at the place that had the dog beds for us, you know, that had a nicer soap. So you create that experience around your brand, and that's really going to encourage repeat business. Another thing it's going to encourage is word of mouth, and of course, word of mouth leads to referrals. I had the pleasure of working with the cartoonist, Hugh McLeod, And I love this cartoon of his. Great stories are pollen. Word of mouth is people spreading stories like pollen. And that gets you referrals. And when you think about it, what is typically going to happen in a conversation? Someone asks, where did you stay on vacation? The typical response will be, a nice room near Los Alamos Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. That doesn't help you get any business, right? That doesn't help you at all. Or someone might say, where did you stay on vacation? I stayed at 1039 North Victoria Park Road. That's never going to happen. I don't remember the address of any place I ever went to. Does anyone here remember the address of a vacation rental they went to? Nobody. So that's never going to happen. What you want to happen is for them to remember your brand. You want the answer to be, where did you stay on your vacation? VictoriaPark.club. Boom. Simple. And when you use a domain name like that, not only are they going to remember the brand, but if someone you mention that to wants to find, well, what's VictoriaPark.club? Type that in, boom, they're right there on that beautiful website I showed you before. So building a brand around your property is going to make it very easy for people to refer them to your property, refer their friends and family to your property. So it's a really important part of this whole process. And again, when we go back to that definition of what is a brand, we talk about changing a person's perception of a product, service, experience, or organization. So when you do all these things, you're doing just that. You're giving them a positive perception of your brand. You're giving them the opportunity to share it with other people and refer business to you. So it's really important to think of your vacation rentals or any other property as a brand and not just another apartment unit somewhere. Right? So really, in summary, just want to review the key points. I'm going to keep it simple so there are things you can take away valuable. Number one and foremost, it's very important to brand your VRBO, right? Don't just list units and leave it at that. What can you do to create a brand around your units? Really important. And then, of course, you need to use a great domain name. Selfishly, I'd like you to consider a .club domain, but even if you don't use a .club domain, use a domain that makes sense, that's got great keywords in it, that matches your brand, that's going to really help grow your organic search and help people find you, right? Use a great domain name. And probably the most important thing, as we've talked about yesterday on many of the panels again, build your own website. Have a dedicated website. If you're relying on just being one of zillions in listings, you're not doing enough. You need to have your own destination where you control the story, where you can build a customer database, where you can drive people to your listings and really stand out in the crowd. Very important. And then think about creating an experience around your brand. What can you do that's a little bit extra, but really for a small investment, it's going to really change the experience people have when they stay at your property. The soap, the coffee, the branding, little things, the bedding, all these little things, instead of going on the cheap, just to get it done, what can you do extra that's going to make people remember, make people want to return, and make people want to refer people to you? So I think if you do all these things, you have a much greater opportunity to have success with your vacation rental. So I'll keep it short and sweet so we can get back on schedule here, but that's really what I wanted to talk about today, is how you can leverage a great brand and a great domain name to grow your vacation rental business.
Well, let's put our hands together for Jeff Sass. And Jeff Sass.club.